Here's a tip that will dramatically improve your success and your results. Treat your workouts like a sport. What do I mean by that? Look at your exercises like skills. Perfect the skills of the exercises, and they will pay you back in dividends you couldn't even possibly imagine.
Hooray, sports ball.
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Like, well, these guys are going to make fun.
I think, are you keeping track of all the sports metaphors this guy uses?
I have not, but it's getting to be quite numerous.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Are you watching more sports? Is that why this is happening?
No.
No.
But
You
what
didn't wait, isn't it mandatory? Like an Italian guy like you watches soccer, World
Right.
Cups?
I mean, it's
No.
been a big thing.
Maybe.
Is that racist? Can
Okay,
can I say
hold on
that?
a second. Hold on a second.
Huh?
You guys are international.
I'm going to see how long it's go.
Yeah, do you guys realize that this World Cup, this is embarrassing, Italy didn't even qualify for this World Cup.
Oh, wow.
National
Dang.
disgrace.
Yikes.
Is that true? Is that like
Yeah,
is that a
they
big-
didn't even qualify for the World Cup.
Wow.
We're talking about one of the best teams of
Come
all
on,
time.
guys.
You know, Italy's got
All that Italian pride.
oh boy,
Right out the window.
It was terrible. That's so no.
Sorry,
I'm
I
not
didn't see
watching
Scotland in there either. So.
it. Well, I don't think
Do they play soccer?
They do, dude.
They do?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to plan on going while I'm there.
Really?
Yeah, it's a club team, but yeah.
Oh, good for you. No,
Anyways.
so all right, here's what I mean by this, okay? If you were to go and play a new sport, so if somebody's like, hey, I'm gonna go learn golf or I'm gonna go learn soccer or basketball, they wouldn't go out and just go as hard as they could. They wouldn't take a club and just swing until they were tired and sore. They would actually learn the skill. They would actually learn the skill of dribbling a ball, of shooting a ball. They would learn the skill of catching a football, throwing a football. But for some reason, when it comes to exercise, we take skill, we throw it out the window, and what matters is just how tired I get. And the problem with that is exercises are skills. And just like with sports, you can swing a club as hard and fast as you want, and you will not get good at swinging the club. You will not get good at hitting the ball. You will not get good at hitting the target. And just like that, with exercises, you could squat till you're tired, bench till you're tired, overhead press till you're tired. But if your skill isn't good, if you don't do it well, you'll hurt yourself and you will not get great results. Versus looking at exercises like skills and being like, I'm going to get really good at the skill of these exercises, and then the dividends, the results just never stop coming, and you get better and better and stronger, and your risk of injury goes way down. So don't go to the gym and think I'm just going to get tired and sore or whatever. Say, okay, here's my layup. Here's my layout, I should say, of exercises. I'm going to go get good at this, and get good at that. That right there, that alone will make your workouts so much more effective. And by the way, people who've been working out for 10 plus years, it usually takes us 10 years to figure this out. And then when we do, it's like, oh my God, I wish I knew this when I first started.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't see anybody just trying to get through the game. Like, I mean, unless their parents like forced them, to be there. But yeah, that seems to be the thought process still that's out there for a lot of people. Like, this is work, and it's got to get through the drudgery of it to be able to get. I know I have to be here and I have to do this, instead of like learning to enjoy it and being really practical about how they treat every exercise and getting better and improving on it, just like practice like you would for any other sport.
How often do you guys revisit that?
For ourselves?
Like, because imagine, let's use your sports analogy.
Yeah.
You've learned to dribble, you've learned to shoot.
Yeah.
You can swing the golf club, you can swing the bat, really well now. You've been doing it for a long time. Do you still feel like you have workouts where you go back and it's like all technique driven, and it's like almost like you're like a beginner again?
Oh,
I love doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm
100%.
asking. Like, how? So I did one of these. That's why I'm asking. I literally trained this way like a day ago.
Yeah.
So how often do you think you do that?
Okay, so if I pick a new exercise I haven't done in a while, that's all it is. All it is in the workout is perfecting the skill. If I do exercises that I've done for the last 15 years that I feel very, very good about the skill and the technique, then I'll push the weight and the intensity. But just like a basketball player who can throw 3-pointers really, really well, their skill is still priority. Now they may throw them from different angles or whatever, but they know that if their technique is off, they're not going to make a basket. So I think all of us understand that with our workouts, right? Like do we throw technique out the window anymore in pursuit of lifting more weight? It's pretty rare now that any of us really do that, really. I mean, I know ego can get in there a little bit, but it's not like it was when I was like 15 where, to add more weight on the bar, I would turn an exercise into something else. Like it doesn't look like that exercise anymore just because I want to lift more weight. But I mean, think about it. Like, think of the benefits of a very well-performed barbell row. Like what kind of benefits you get. Now think of the benefits of a poorly performed barbell row. The difference between the two in results is literally night and day. It's not even close to each other. It's like one gives you great results, one gives you terrible results.
Well, I think there's two things that kind of stand out from when I kind of address that in my programming. And one of them is when I'm working my way up towards PRing, or if I have a goal of like actually, lifting more weight than I've lifted before, I want to go through a phase of just like working on all the nuances, treating it like it's its own skill, like hyper focusing on it for a while. And then the other one is when I've been in a bit of a plateau and I want to learn a new skill or like a unconventional lift or something that's like, I knew back in the day like a clean, and I need to go back and revisit all those like very specific type of nuanced skills that will help me to kind of bring that back in so I can include it to the programming.
Interesting. I'm glad I asked him because I feel like everybody has got different approaches to that. There's two ways that I see it. One is like when, yesterday it was because I did back-to-back workouts. The workout before was pretty taxing, and so I knew I didn't need to really push the weight. So I find that a really good day to like reduce the weight, and it's all skill. It's like, okay, today is technique, skill, slow down the repetitions, lighten the load up dramatically. The other time is when it's been like, let's say I've fallen off for 3 or 4 weeks and I haven't been consistent, and I know that I'm easing back into working out. And so I love to start off with like light technique type of lifting to get easy, because I know, one, it won't take much because I haven't been consistently lifting for the last couple of weeks. So I don't need that much load. Plus I'm also like, okay, it's like, just like I would in basketball. If I haven't shot a basketball in, even though I consider myself a skilled basketball player who's been playing for most of his life, if I haven't played in years right now, if I were to go on the court right now, I would go and I have these little warm-up drills that I would do, which I would think would be the same as like doing technique drills for lifting. And so if I haven't done it in a long time, if I've been on a break, that's when I tend to do it. Or two, let's say I know I'm sore or I overreached lately, and then I have a workout where I'm following it back to back. Like those are the two times I think I tend to do like technique type days.
Do you guys remember when you pieced this together for clients? Like I distinctly, it was a while too. I'd probably been training people for at least a few years. And I remember I had a conversation with a client who would work out on their own and then see me like a couple days a week, and then come in on their own 1 or 2 days a week. And because they would come in on their own in the gym that I worked in or managed, I would see them work out. And I would always have to walk over off session. I'm not training them and correct their form every time. And I remember being like, this is so annoying. When you're on your own, this is what I would think, right? When you're on your own, you work out terribly. It's like I have to constantly watch you. So I told them, I said, hey, when you come to the gym on your own, I don't want you to work out anymore. All I want you to do is I want you to practice the exercises that we do together and just see if you can make them perfect, like practice the skill of them. And they said, you sure? Is that going to be hard enough? I said, yeah, just do that for now. And they did, and they got way better results. And that was it. That was the way I communicated it from then on to anybody who worked out. As I said, hey, don't come, because when you say workout, that to me, not to me, but to most people means I'm going to go get sore and get sweaty and get tired. And then what happens is the exercises are arbitrary. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing. As long as I sweat and get sore, I had a great workout. It's like, that's not how it works. There's a skill to the exercise, and each exercise provides a distinct value. And that value is very closely connected to the skill and the technique of how you perform that particular exercise. Otherwise, the exercises don't matter. This is one of the big problems I have with circuit training and classes where they use weights, but they're really not doing strength training, is you watch people work out, and I'm like, man, you could put together any 5 exercises you want, and it's going to be
Just
exactly
burning
the same.
calories.
They're just moving.
Yeah.
There's no skill. There's no technique. Like, okay, I know you're switching 5 different exercises, but in reality, it doesn't matter. You can do 5. You can make up 5 things. You got a pair of dumbbells and shake your head and twist in a circle, and it's the same thing that you're doing now because you're not deriving any value from the exercises because there's no skill and technique that's being involved.
Yeah, I remember very specifically when that happened for me as a trainer was because I had like this window with a client where I would be able to kind of draw up and take them through all the exercises and build up their workouts. But then I finally had a client that was like, I only have one day a week that I can come in and learn and do. And so it was very challenging for me, being that I had everything kind of systematically written up, and then I was like had my whole systems and process of how I did things, and it shook it all up for me. And so I had to learn that we're just going to start with this one major lift, and I want you to really focus on this, and here's everything I want you to do with it, and you're going to practice this all week. And then we would move to another one once they felt proficient enough with that lift, and I kind of moved on, and they had like better success than some other clients I was just taking through like your full gamut of exercises.
Well, do you remember, I bet you all of us are identical with this, the workouts that you would do with your clients early days as a trainer versus later days? If you looked at the workouts, the differences would be those early workouts or those early days were so many different exercises, so many different movements, combinations of movements, like we never did the same workout twice. Then the second half, when we figured it out, was like, wow, that looks super basic. You're doing the same 4 exercises almost every workout, and then you throw in a couple new ones. And the funny thing is, second half of my career, I was a super effective trainer. First half of my career, I was a terribly ineffective trainer. And it was because I did not give them time or focus on learning the skill of these. It was really just about how many new exercises I could show the person in different ways I can make them sweat and razzle dazzle them each time.
Razzle dazzle.
This conversation reminds me of a conversation that I had with the NCI group, and I've openly criticized group training for a long time, right? And one of the trainers there, we were kind of like brainstorming on ideas on how to do group training with integrity, right? Like how do I teach these? And you've heard me recommend before the Prime Pro webinar as like a great way to do that. If I were to go back and do group training, I would be okay with doing something like that. Another one that another trainer had as an idea, and I hadn't thought of that, and I thought, man, that is a brilliant idea, and what a cool time to try and implement this, because we are heading into probably for trainers, it's going to be some of the toughest times in the next year to 2 years with where we're heading economically, and thinking of like, how do I continue to scale or build my business? And this trainer wanted to create these group classes that were centered around teaching one lift.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I love that.
I was there for that.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that idea of, and it's something that I hadn't thought of as a trainer, that I think if I were to go back, I would totally do this, where, sign up for my 6-week course on how to squat. Mm-hmm. And we meet once a week, and it's everything from priming to working on any sort of common breakdowns that people have to technique, and just, I could see that being a really valuable, 4 to 6 week course that people could sign up for and take it in a group setting. And even though I don't like training in groups, because you're focused on just one movement, you could break that movement up and do one piece and then walk around. And then yeah. So I really, really like that idea. So for those coaches and trainers that are listening that are not already in the NCI group, I thought that was a really good idea.
Well, just to add to this, one of the things that makes strength training in particular such a tremendously valuable form of exercise, one thing that makes it extremely unique and valuable in comparison to any other form of exercise, because all forms of exercise have value, but strength training, one of the things that strength training has that no other form of exercise really has, is the tool belt that you have with strength training is massive, and the ability to individualize workouts and the amount of exercises that you have at your disposal Like no other form of exercise does this. Like I could use strength training on anybody. I can't say that about running, cycling, swimming, yoga, Pilates. Like they have a style. Strength training has exercises. But here's the deal. What makes a squat a squat? The technique and the skill. What makes a press? The technique and the skill. It's not what makes a squat, the fact that you work your legs or that a press works your shoulders. It's the technique and the skill. And if the technique and the skill isn't being applied properly, you are no longer doing a squat. So this is the most important part of your workout. And if you're missing this, you might as well take 30% of your progress off or more because your skill is off and all you're concerned about is, are my quads tired? Is my back sore? Am I sweating? Like, well, now don't do strength training. Do something else because you're wasting your time with the entire thing. So, and I like to communicate that because again, this is so valuable. And if you do this, it'll make a really, really big difference in your progress.